In the early days of humanity, after the great flood had receded and the earth had been replenished, people began to gather and spread across the land. Yet, there was one place that drew many, a fertile plain in the land of Shinar, where rivers flowed like veins of life, and the soil was rich with promise. It was there that a great city began to rise, one unlike any that had been seen before. At the heart of this city was Nimrod, a man of immense charisma and unshakable ambition. Nimrod was no ordinary leader. His voice carried the strength of conviction, his vision held the power to inspire. As he stood before the gathered masses one morning, his words ignited a fire in their hearts. "Why should we remain scattered and vulnerable?" he proclaimed, his eyes sweeping over the crowd. "Let us build a city that reaches the heavens themselves. Let it be a symbol of our unity, our strength, and our greatness. Let it protect us from the whims of the gods and the forces of nature, and let us make a name for ourselves, one that will never be forgotten." The people cheered, captivated by Nimrod's vision. The idea of unity was intoxicating, the promise of immortality irresistible. Together they began the monumental task. Bricks were fashioned from the earth, baked in the sun until they were hard as stone. Bitumen was brought to bind the bricks together, creating a structure that was as sturdy as it was grand. Day and night, the sounds of construction echoed across the plains. Men and women worked side by side, their sweat mingling with the dust of the earth, their voices raised in songs of determination. The tower began to rise, inching toward the sky. Its shadow stretched for miles, a testament to the people's collective ambition. Travelers from distant lands came to see the marvel, bringing gifts and offerings. And some chose to stay, swept up in the fervor of this grand endeavor. The tower was more than just a structure, it was a symbol of defiance, a declaration that humanity could achieve anything when united. Yet as it grew taller, so did the pride in their hearts. Some began to whisper, "Why should we fear the gods? Why should we bow to their whims when we can touch the heavens ourselves?" Far above, the Creator watched. The unity of the people was undeniable, their ambition unbridled. But the purpose behind their endeavor was not born of reverence or gratitude. It was rooted in pride and rebellion. Their hearts sought to rival the divine, to prove that they needed no higher power. And so the Lord spoke, "Behold, they are one people, and they all speak one language. This is only the beginning of what they will do. Nothing they propose will now be impossible for them. Come, let us go down and confuse their language, so that they may not understand one another." As dawn broke over the plains of Shinar, the people gathered at the tower to begin another day of work. But something was different. A mason called for bricks, but the words came out strange, incomprehensible. A laborer shouted for timber, but his cries were met with confusion. Their voices, once harmonious, now clashed like discordant notes. Panic spread as the realization dawned. They could no longer understand one another. Arguments erupted, tools were dropped, and the construction ground to a halt. Nimrod himself, the great leader, found his words meaningless to those who had once followed him. The unity that had built the tower crumbled, replaced by chaos and division. Groups began to form, each speaking its own language. Unable to work together, they abandoned the project, their dream of touching the heavens left unfinished. Families packed their belongings and drifted away from the city, scattering across the earth. The once thriving city became desolate, its grand tower standing as a silent monument to human pride and the limits of ambition. From that day forward, the place was called Babel, for there the Lord had confused the language of the world and scattered the people across the face of the earth. The story of Babel became a cautionary tale passed down through generations. It was a reminder of the power of unity, but also of the dangers of pride and defiance. It spoke of a creator who values humility, who seeks not rebellion, but relationship. Even now, as we gaze at the achievements of humanity, we are reminded of Babel's lesson. True greatness is not found in monuments that pierce the sky, but in hearts that reach out in faith, humility, and love.